1, 2, 3. Can you hear it out there? It's very quiet out there, isn't it? Okay.
You sound great.
I sound great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. We'll be getting started here in just a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Yep. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. For those online and in person, we are waiting for one more board member to connect virtually to this session, and we will begin shortly. I am the TriMet Board President, and I'd like to welcome everybody here today to the TriMet Board of Directors meeting for July 24th, 2024. We're gathered here at One Main Place for just the second time. It was a dry run last month, and here we are this month for our formal opening of our newly constructed TriMet Boardroom for today's board meeting. We are also, as is customary, live streaming today's meeting on YouTube. So welcome in person and online. All members are present of the TriMet board for today's meeting. However, two of our board members are joining us virtually. We have Director Keith Edwards and Director Tyler Frisbee joining us online. And we are clear with them, so welcome, Directors Frisbee and Director Edwards. Thank you for being with us today. And I would like to begin today's board meeting, as is customary, with our public forum. Members of the public who would wish to provide testimony but could not be here in person may also join us virtually. And after we've heard from those who are present today to testify, we will open up the forum for any virtual testimonies. Now, for those of you that are providing testimony today, whether it's online or in person, please Direct today's comments to TriMet, to our transit-related services, rather than other topics. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're unable to limit your comments to 3 minutes, you may provide additional comments in writing, and we have TriMet staff available to you for you to be able to provide through a TriMet email address those written comments, which will be distributed to the board. Now, with that, I'd like to call to the testimony table 2 people at a time. And when you hear your name, please make your way to this front table, and you will see 2 buttons on the microphone. Make sure the button that has a little, what looks like a little talking face, turned on, and you'll see the button turns green. So if you could please make your way once I say your name. I'm going to call 2 at a time. I'd like to begin with Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson and Travel Portland Representative Megan Conway. Welcome this morning. Chair Vega Peterson, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, President Gonzalez, members of the board, General Manager DeSue. It is a pleasure to be here. For the record, my name is Jessica Vega Peterson. I am the Multnomah County Chair. It's so great to be here. I think this is actually the first time I've had a chance to come before you. I've worked and known many of you for years. Some of you I am looking forward to getting to know and working with. It's such a pleasure to be here. And President Gonzalez, I just want to take a minute to just appreciate your leadership. I know this is your last meeting. It makes me very proud to have such a strong Latino leader in this role doing such great and impactful work for our community. So I just really want to appreciate you. I am very delighted to be here to celebrate TriMet and their history of partnership with Multnomah County and community partners. We believe in TriMet and public transit. As an employer, every benefit-eligible county employee receives a TriMet pass. And as a parent, it has become a rite of passage for my kids to get their hot pass, and they have enjoyed using those to explore our beautiful city and region. As a partner, TriMet and the county are working together on safety and security in our community for so many ways. We are maintaining and expanding relationships and connections with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office and access to county services such as healthcare, housing services, behavioral health services, and of course our libraries. We have a shared desire to help people in our community live, rise, and thrive. We have been working with TriMet on the Gateway Service District. I've had the pleasure of working on that, as well as Commissioner Julia Brim-Edwards has been leading on that work. This will provide additional cleaning services to support the resident, traveler, and customer experience, as well as shared investments in a sewer line, which is going to, in Gresham, which will serve both the new East County Library and TriMet-led transit-oriented development, which, in addition to bringing new neighbors closer to our stellar new library, also provides that access to high-quality transit that is just going to be a win-win-win for East County. For many years, I have supported investment in a transportation system that provides climate-friendly, safe, and accessible options for all residents, especially those who have been driven by increasing housing costs to live in areas where transportation options are few, if not existent. I'm excited to see the community-backed process occurring on 82nd Avenue and investments made in the Division Transit project. At the county, our signature transportation project, an earthquake-ready Burnside Bridge, is a critical route for transit. The TriMet bus lines 12, 19, and 20 that cross the bridge represent approximately 15% of the total bus ridership in the region. The future bridge will maintain a bus-only lane to support bus speeds and reliability for bus lines that serve almost 7 million riders each year. Thank you so much again for your time, for your partnership, and I look forward to deepening our work together. Thank you.
Megan Conway, thank you, with Travel Portland.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning, President Gonzalez and members of the TriMet board. My name is Megan Conway. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Travel Portland. Thanks so much for having us here today, and congratulations on the opening of this beautiful boardroom. Travel Portland has a long history of close partnership and collaboration with TriMet over our 45 years. And now we are literally close because our offices are just 1 block away. So if this is open for booking, we might come here when we need an overflow space. It's absolutely beautiful. Our partnership with TriMet is incredibly valuable because a robust, reliable, and safe public transit system is a key component of Portland's DNA as a destination. From the moment visitors step out of the baggage area at PDX, they can ride Max into the heart of downtown. During their visit, TriMet supports excursions throughout the city to our signature parks, museums, cultural attractions, as well as restaurants and local shops throughout our neighborhoods. The TriMet passes we offer together in partnership with you to our delegates greatly enhance and expand how meeting and convention attendees experience our beautiful city. Convention delegates consistently rank Portland's public transportation as either good or excellent in their post-convention surveys. Meanwhile, at Travel Portland, we do a lot of work to address the negative perceptions about our city. Safety and security are high on the list of what meeting planners, delegates, and leisure travelers expect in a destination. And we appreciate the recent work the TriMet team has done to hire additional staff and address safety concerns. And we encourage your longstanding commitment to this work to continue in support of the efforts to help restore the overall reputation of our city for locals and visitors alike. Our partnership with you has never been more important, and we look forward to all that we can achieve together in common purpose and a shared love for our great city. Thank you again, and congratulations on this beautiful space.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next, I'd like to invite to the testimony table, representing PPS, David Holt, and representing Amazon, Emily Barrett. Welcome, David. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you for allowing me the time. And for the record, my last name is Holm, H-O-L-M.
Pardon, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Straight from here, I'm going back to our office to help move, so I apologize for the T-shirt. We're packing up and moving. So I am here representing Portland Public Schools and Portland's Summer Scholars. Specifically, I'm the principal of the High School Credit Recovery Program for Portland Public Schools. We host, during the summertime, we host around 3,000 students across 4 different sites at Franklin, McDaniel High School, this summer at Grant High School, and Roosevelt High School, for students who need to retake their classes required for graduation. Asking students from 21 different schools to attend one of our 4 sites of Summer Scholars means most of our students are not attending a class in their own neighborhood. We have a very mobile student population. In the past, regarding our partnership with TriMet, in the past, for the summertime, we used to place an order with TriMet for daily tickets, and then we had to actually have a team of staff members coordinating the tickets to be given out each day. Instead of providing just a big lump sum of tickets to each student, we strategically provided tickets on a daily basis as leverage to get the students to return the following day for their next ticket and attend class, hopefully. This means that for one student who attended both sessions of Summer Scholars, they'd be provided 26 tickets over their 26 days of class. And multiply that by about 3,000 students, and we could be giving out up to 78,000 tickets over our 26 days of class. One of the greatest burdens for our program every summer used to be having to hire a team to successfully coordinate the TriMet summer ticket program. A couple years ago, when TriMet's John Coney reached out to me with this idea of providing each student just one pass to use over the summer, not only did the idea take a large burden of work off our shoulders, but it also saved us a lot of money by not having to hire staff to solely deal with the TriMet tickets anymore. And of course, the summer tickets, the current program, we're not paying for those passes at all. Where we used to, that 78,000 tickets times, I don't remember how much we were being charged, about $3 each. That was a big cost to us as well. The new program has been flawless. Everything from the colorful and fun marketing posters to the actual passes to the ease of the process and receiving additional passes has been effortless. John's level of customer service has been above and beyond, and we've never had to wait more than about 12 hours to get more passes if we've needed them. In regards to the student summer program as a whole, I can't think of anything that could be done better on the TriMet side. So for myself and our approximately 120 staff and 3,000 students, TriMet has nailed it and has allowed our staff to focus more of our time on supporting students, and has allowed our students to not, worry about how to get to class, but what they need to do to be successful while in class. So thank you, TriMet, for being such an important team member for us.
T-shirt, polo, or guayabera, any way you want to dress, those comments are well received. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Next, Emily Barrett.
Hi, thank you, and thanks for making time today. My name's Emily Barrett, and I really appreciate being able to share my personal experience as just one type of TriMet rider. I've lived in Portland 21 years, and in that time, I've worked in locations all over the central city, but for the last 11 years, I've worked downtown along Southwest Broadway. So welcome to this part of downtown. I work at AWS. They're a large downtown employer that provides a flexible commuter benefit package. And so I use those benefits to commute in a hybrid fashion myself. Sometimes I get to the office by e-bike. Sometimes I do it in my personal vehicle, and sometimes I take a TriMet bus. Shout out for the 4 and the 44, those are my lines. And I use transit for some errands and some for recreation. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, so taking the Max or the bus is equally as fun to them as whatever our destination might be. Common ones are Saturday Market downtown, to OMSI, and to Northwest Children's Theater's The Judy, which is stone's throw away. And so I'm a TriMet Choice traveler, and my ridership declined in 2020. I would say it cratered. And it stayed pretty low to almost non-existent for a couple years. And as it has come back, I'm here to say that in 2024, I've really experienced the increase in support staff on TriMet buses and platforms and shelters. It's really helped me feel more confident and more comfortable, both when I'm riding alone or when I'm riding with my young children. I can focus on them, and I see the folks who are focused on the health and safety of people on transit with me. Last week, the Keller Fountain reopened, and I took one of my children to visit it on opening day. We did also have to go to the DMV. But as the threads of downtown, like the fountain, continue to rebuild and renew, I actively make time for downtown events and restaurants and shops. So I just wanted to come out and show my support for TriMet's continued work to serve all types of riders, including ones like me, with the safe and predictable transportation that I really see is supporting the resilience of our shared downtown. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Emily. Appreciate it. Next, I'd like to invite, I think it's, yes, that this will be the last testimony that I have registered for today. And I will apologize in advance if I don't get your pronunciation correct. Mark Neal, if you could please step forward and provide your testimony. Is there a Mark Neal? Does that look like Mark Neal to you? Yes, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mark.
Fast. All right, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Adriana.
My name is Mark Kneck, and I come to the board today to address some issues concerning transportation for veterans. And we have some veterans doings coming up here. On July the 28th, out at Ron Tonkin Field, they're going to honor veterans. And if we can't get there, what's the use of having doings for veterans? And then over Labor Day weekend out here at the municipal airport over here in McVille, they're going to have an air show. But that bus that runs from McVinnville around here, around from over there and comes here, does not run on the weekends, and they're not running on Labor Day. And I don't know how some of us veterans can get there because we have no other transportation and the DA and so on. So it makes it kind of hard for some of us veterans to get those things if we don't have transportation. And so I want to thank you for looking into it. We were talking a little bit this morning downtown, and I want to thank you for that. And then another issue we have, on Monday nights, we have adaptive sports out at Ron Tonkin Field out here. And or not Ron Tonkin Field, out to Portland National Highway. And somehow or other, I don't know how, they get things mixed up down there at the call center when I call Metrolift to have a ride. They gave the driver wrong directions. Some of the drivers haven't been out there, and I don't know how they could get that so screwed up. We're all human, we all make mistakes, yes, but, it shouldn't happen. One person, one person talks to this person, another person talks to this person. Pretty soon, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. But I wanted to address that issue today, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for your comments, and apologize about the pronunciation there. I appreciate you taking the time to come out, and I do see that there are some events staff would like to follow up with you on to make sure that we're connected to some of those events and see how we can help. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, I have no other testimonies signed up for today here in person. Do we have any testimonies online that have registered? Okay. So with that, we have no more in-person or virtual testimonies. So with no other members signed up for the public forum to testify at this time, I would like to now close the public forum and open the official business meeting. Let's start with board reports. I'd like to first start with the Committee on Accessible Transportation, otherwise known as CAT, and ask for Director Edwards to provide a report of its most recent meeting. Director Edwards, would you please share your report today? And we are unable to hear you, Director Edwards.
How's that?
Yes, coming in clear.
Okay, thank you. I was unable to attend the last meeting. I was out of town last week and my schedule didn't permit me to attend the meeting virtually like I am today. But I certainly appreciate staff providing me with the report for the highlights of the last meeting. Jan Campbell opened the meeting with a robust set of introductions, including the 7 new members of CAT, and shared a fond farewell to CAT member Chris Maher, who is relocating to Eugene. And thank you again, Chris, for your participation and your support for CAT. The Fixed Route Subcommittee shared the work they're doing with TriMet TriMet Major Projects team to provide input on the developing FX standards and 82nd Avenue BRT projects. Looking back to the FX2 project and the evolution of accessibility tools and understandings, the committee is optimistic about the direction that the 82nd BRT project is going. The LIFT subcommittee shared that they are recruiting for a new co-chair. They also shared the pilot project recently launched with Falcon devices that provide an added layer of accessibility to visually impaired riders or riders who are otherwise not able to read the digital displays. And we certainly appreciate that. These push button devices will be connected to digital displays with a beacon that emits a tone to attract the user and then reads aloud the information on the digital display. CAT is eager to experience these tools in the field of service, so a field trip will be planned in the near future to evaluate and provide feedback on these exciting new wayfinding tools. Eileen provided a report on the recent TransPro Lyft customer satisfaction survey, announcing astounding results for the Lyft program. We learned that Lyft has a net promoter score of 69, which is noteworthy considering that for comparison, Apple has a net promoter score of 61. Translating that net promoter score into a more traditional overall customer satisfaction rating, the program has a 98% customer satisfaction score, which the survey team commented was relatively unheard of. Eileen thanked the Lyft operator staff and contractors for all of their hard work to continue striving for excellence as they work to build the best paratransit program in the country. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Edwards, for your report on the Committee on Accessible Transportation. Are there any board members that have questions or comments for Director Edwards? All right. Thank you very much, Director Edwards, for that report. It's great to hear of the continued contributions that the committee makes to TriMet's work. And I really want to take the moment to express my gratitude for your continued involvement with them. And any chance you get, Director Edwards, please express my gratitude to the committee for their continued benefit to the work of TriMet. It's great to have their eyes and ears and all senses available to us to help us make this system more accessible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I certainly will. And it's been very uplifting for me as well to work with the members of CAT because they have TriMet's interests at heart, and they certainly have the community's interests at heart. And they meld those two together to make a very robust agenda that they have, and they make TriMet better. I believe that they are the soul of TriMet, and they certainly exhibit that by all the things that they do in caring for the community and TriMet itself. So again, thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to invite Director Kim to provide a report from the recent meeting on the Metro Policy Advisory Committee, known as MPAC. Director Kim, your report, please.
Of course, President Gonzalez. On June 26th, Metro Housing Department staff provided MPAC reps with a yearly update on the implementation progress regarding the supportive housing services and the affordable housing bond. To successfully support these efforts, the Housing Department has expended compliance, data, technical assistance, and policy staff to provide oversight and accountability for these funding measures. And as of December 2023, just over 2 years into the implementation, the 3 counties report that nearly 4,000 households have been placed into housing, more than 14,000 evictions have been prevented, and 970 shelter beds have been created or sustained. To inform the active urban growth boundary process, Metro staff shared an assessment of city employment land UGP expansion proposals. One proposal from the city of Sherwood was received and reviewed by staff for regional market supply and site competitiveness characteristics. The Sherwood West Concept Plan proposes an expansion, contributing to a regional need regarding industrial land supply, employment, and economic growth. And MPAC will make a recommendation on the urban growth report and to Metro Council in September. And finally, Metro staff provided an update on the 2040 Planning and Development Grants Program, informed by grant user outreach. The program intends to improve flexibility, effectiveness, and responsiveness. The next MPAC is tonight, and we'll be reviewing the draft urban growth boundary report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report, Director Kim. Does any board member have questions or comments about the MPAC report? All right. Seeing none, thank you very much for that report. Next, I'd like to hear from each of our 3 directors. Oh, pardon me. We have another report from the Accountability Committee. Now, this committee meets, is this the committee that meets quarterly or annually?
Biannually.
Biannually. No wonder this one I don't get to hear from very often. So I'd like to invite Director Kellogg to provide a report on the most recent biannual meeting of the Accountability Committee. Director Kellogg.
Thank you, President Gonzalez, and allow me to dazzle you with a report from the Accountability Committee. So we met June 26th, second meeting of the year, excellently chaired by Council Devine there. The first order of business that we had was to review TriMet's new investor relations website, TriMetBonds.com, TriMet Bonds, all one word. I specifically want to call out Kingston Sprague, who put the site together from the ground up and really did an excellent job. He's also in charge of keeping it updated. So what the site is about, you would expect with investor relations, operating performance for the company, big capital projects, because what we're trying to do is attract investment in the bonds that we issue. And I'm not an institutional investor myself, but I can tell you the content of the website is outstanding, even for the general public, just to get a 30,000-foot view of everything that TriMet is doing and is going to be doing in the future. It's an excellent recap, so I'd suggest you all take a look at it. Also, I was encouraged to mention that TriMet has a AAA bond rating across the board with all three agencies. Second order of business, Dave Whipple, TriMet's manager of digital communications, presented improvements to our website and specifically accessibility for other languages. It's now available in Spanish, and there's development in a couple of other languages just to create that interoperability. And again, excellent presentation there. One other item, there is a statistics on how many people visited these pages, and the numbers just keep going up. So we're doing good work in terms of our outfacing to the general public, not only investor relations, but everyday customers. So that's the report from the Accountability Committee.
Thank you very much, Director Kellogg. Are there any questions or comments from fellow board members around the Accountability Committee report? Well, thank you very much. That's illustrious news. I have seen the website as well, and I do encourage people to take a look at it. I echo your sentiment about its ability to provide a fantastic snapshot of the things that the agency is up to. And it's always good to hear about us maintaining the AAA bond rating. Congrats to the finance team, Nancy and her crew, on ensuring that we maintain that. It's a very important instrument in our ability to bring value to our region. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've been alerted that Director Frisbee has her hand up, and I'm sorry, Director Frisbee, I don't know how to tell that that's happening. Thank you. So, Director Frisbee, please.
I'm embarrassed that it took me a few minutes to figure it out. So, we've only been on Zoom for 3 years. But I just wanted to echo, at Director Kellogg's urging, I checked out TriMetBonds.com and wanted to follow up on the accolades for the site, thanks to the team that put it together. And I really do encourage the public, if you're wondering big picture, it's one of the better intros to TriMet, actually, that I've seen. So encourage everyone to take a look, and thank you again to the folks who did it. And Director Kellogg, I believe that was at your urging from quite a few board meetings ago. So thanks for moving that forward.
Thank you for your comments, Director Frisbee, and thank you for your report, Director Kellogg. Next, I invite we had 3 of our board members recently attend an APTA conference. That's the American Public Transit Association. Did I get that right? Pardon me, a Public Transportation Association. And APTA holds several conferences throughout the year, one of which is a conference for board members. And this year we were lucky to have 3 of our board members attend the conference. And so I'd like to invite each of them to share. If you could please, in a minute, summarize for us a little of your takeaways from your attendance at the APTA Transit Board Members Conference. Let's see here. Let's begin with Director Laverne Lewis. How did it go?
Thank you. I was expecting Director Frisbee to go first, but that's okay. Wonderful conference, and I've enjoyed going. It would be my 3rd time for the APTA conference from board members. I had, of course, they are still talking about the conference, the mobility conference that we hosted. Board members were just still making lots of raves about our buses, riding TriMet, and the TriMeteers. They're still talking about the group. So lots of kudos there. And of course, it was located, the conference was in San Jose. And so, of course, Santa Clara rolled out all their new toys, brand new buses. We did have the tour of the city a little bit in their main buses. And of course, sitting next to Director Way, we checked out everything, including the multiple languages that are available on their buses. Their new and brightest toy, I think we still have the best toys, but their new and brightest toy is their 100% electric commuter train, complete with mobility toilets and bathrooms, tables, their Wi-Fi system, awesome. We got on thinking we were going down to, San Francisco. They will be up and ready in September. We also had a great tour. One of my takeaways was the rail yard, and we had a quiet moment in their memorial garden. But my last takeaway was, I think it was Sunday morning, bright and early. That's usually the first day. I was having breakfast, and I was joined by Michelle Wong-Kraus. She is the board chair for DART. I know her because my brother has retired from DART 36 years. And so I and Michelle know each other. And she's also the board director chair of APTA. So anyway, we were going back and forth on my board's better than your board and, those types of things. And so she says to me, so what are your board goals? And I was like, I'm ready for this, with a mouthful of eggs. I said, fast, frequent, reliable, clean, safe, and fully funded. I was so proud that I could name off TriMet. And but it went downhill. She said, she says, those are your agency and organizational goals. And I went, yes. She goes, but what are your board goals? And it was like, okay, eat more toast. I'm thinking, I says, well, we embrace, the organizational goals, and I kind of did a fluff. But later on that day, I was sitting next to Director Frisbee, and I thought, she knows, I'm gonna throw this on her. So I said to her, what are our board goals? And of course, she knows everything. She turns to me and she says, you've been on the board longer than I have, don't you know? And so I'm returning today to say, our board goals, we have some work to do. And that's my bring back, and a good shout out for Executive Director Andrew Wilson. Of course, we sat in the front row, screamed, yelled when he came up for his presentation. But I had a great time. Thanks.
Thank you for that summary. Director Way.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, board. Wow, Director Lewis did a great job doing that recap, so it's hard to follow, but I also echo a lot of the same sentiments that she shared about just the overall takeaways, just the experience that I received as a board member with valuable tools, networking, and also just really great next steps that we can take back to the organization. I've been on this board for a few years, but a little embarrassed to say that was my first APTA convening since I've been on the board, and it was also great to see Shelley there, and also Felicia and Adriana there as well, as the conference was also for board administrators. So just some of my, I'll just focus on two big takeaways for me. One is really a piggybacking off of what Director Lewis shared in terms of just our board and how we govern. And so some of the things that I took down from a presentation on the first day was that high-performing boards are strategic, mindful of risk, have a long view plan, assessment focused, and last but not least, strong partnership with our CEO. And I sort of highlighted it and underscored that, and we have a wonderful CEO, general manager, excuse me. They use CEO, but we use general manager. And something that also struck me in that conversation and presentation was there was a question, it was a top table exercise, and they asked, do we have a board governance model? And I was also a little stumped by that because I know each of us as 7 board members bring our own governance style and philosophy and ways that right? We create policies and have active discussion and debate, but I'm not quite sure if we have a board governance model that we can discuss and operate on. So that was one of my takeaways when it comes to more high-level board-related things. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was, this was on the very last day as well, but they were talking about a panel for developing a robust transit workforce. We know that we are continuing to have that as one of our big rocks in the agency. But one of the things that really struck me, of course, I have to say this because I am also one of the youngest board members here, is our partnership with high school students. So we received a really great testimony this morning from Portland Public Schools with our summer transit program for youth. But California in particular, and particularly the Valley Transit, Public Transit Association, as well as the Minetta Transit Institute, they have a 3-week program where they select 35 students, mostly from underserved communities, Title I schools. They have a Summer Transportation Institute, which I thought was just so fabulous. They've had it for several years now, and this gives these 35 students from various transit regions that they serve an opportunity to visit the transit agency, but also go just work collaboratively in other different sectors around business development, workforce development, really, really cool stuff. And I just remember being a high school student, and it was really those internship opportunities that, you know, really sort of helped see myself as a career in public service and just wanting to give back to community. So looking at some of our leadership here, that would be fabulous if we can have a program like that and work collaboratively, again, with our local high schools and with our community colleges. And then last but not least, everyone is talking about bus manufacturing because there's very limited in terms of, right, just looking at the federal level, very limited options in terms of manufacturing that we have right now for buses. And I know that that is a topic and a conversation that we are, you know, continuing to have as a board. And those are things that folks talked about at the APTA conference as well. So that's my report, and I had a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Way. Now I'd love to hear from Director Frisbee. You teed up. I'd love to hear how did it go at the conference, Director Frisbee?
Thanks, President Gonzalez, and I will be fast because I believe my wonderful colleagues have captured so much of what we heard. It was a really wonderful 3.5 days, really productive, learned a lot. I think my 2 takeaways, big picture, were similar to what we've heard before. The first was actually, it was really wonderful to be with colleagues from across the country, from different size agencies, and realize that we're all struggling with similar issues and challenges, right? We had folks there who were running 5 bus lines in a tiny town in northern Oklahoma, and we had BART and some of the largest transit agencies in the country there. And folks were struggling with the same issues. And so it was really helpful to share best practices. It was helpful to commiserate. It was helpful to talk through and learn what they're doing and how they're navigating some of these moments. And I do want to give a shout out to Andrew Wilson, who spoke on one of the panels around safety and security, which is a challenge that transit agencies across the country are seeing. How do we help people feel safe and welcome on transit as we all come back post-pandemic? My big takeaway, similar to what Director Lewis mentioned, is I think there's a lot of opportunity for us as a board to make sure that we are better serving the public and working together to really support the agency and help move the agency forward. So we heard a lot about sort of board best practices, ways for us to come together, and I think that work can help us do a better job representing the public and being that voice to TriMet. So I'm excited for that work, and I look forward to the opportunity for us to bring some of those best practices back from that workshop as a board.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. And whoa, this thing feels like it got a little hotter. And thanks to my fellow board members for taking the time to attend this conference, to give of your time to help foster an even greater contribution as board members. And to staff, I know a few from our staff went to participate. And Andrew, you've already heard from a couple of board members. They took note, and I think the industry at large is seeing the work that TriMet is doing. So congratulations to Andrew and the safety and security team. We've heard it in public testimony today. We're hearing it from the National Public Transportation Association about their interest in what TriMet is doing. I knew when we started this work some time ago, Andrew, that you'd be going on a circuit of road shows to be sharing some of this work. Now I say to the team, be ready for some VH1 special or some Netflix documentary at some point. There's some amazing work being done, some incredible innovation and creativity being applied here. So congratulations and thanks once again to the board. Oh, are there any questions before we move into the regular business of the board? All right, now I'm looking online as well. Thank you very much. All right. Now, I'd like to turn us to the next item on our agenda, which is the General Manager's monthly report. General Manager Dessou.
Thanks, President Gonzalez. Good morning, board, elected officials that are here with us, community partners, TriMet staff. Thank you all for being here, and of course, the public for sure. In my report this morning, I will provide timely information on a couple of things. One is our June ridership. Also, the board will review the general manager's objectives from the last fiscal year. And then I'll have a special presentation on the state of TriMet, taking a look at where we stand as our fiscal year 2025 gets underway. But first, I would like to invite a very special person up to the testimony table. Shirley Block. Shirley, let me start off with a personal thank you for your 46 years of service with TriMet. So let's give that a round of applause. You first joined our team back in 1978 as a nurse, and I want you all to hear that, as a nurse. And it's truly a testament to your character and perseverance that you grew your career with us through the ranks of a bus operator to become TriMet's first Black female fare inspector and road supervisor and field operations coordinator. And then later to be selected as the very first woman and the first Black president of ATU Local 757. You have advocated for countless TriMet employees throughout your years. A true love and appreciation for our employees is just one of the many things that we share with each other. My 5 years here at TriMet represents but a fraction of the time you dedicated to this agency, this region, and this state. But during that time, I've appreciated your support and your friendship. We rolled up our sleeves together and sat side by side when we first took our first COVID-19 vaccination shots in 2021. And then when we met the President of the United States, Joe Biden, when he came to Portland to promote the bipartisan infrastructure bill in 2022, and I just want to let the board know and the public, I was trying to get a picture with the President, and I was ignored during that time frame. But Shirley Block came up and said to me, "You want a picture with the President? I can make that happen." So she reached out and said, "President Biden," he turned around in the place where we were located at, and he came over with his staff, took a picture. She says, I want you to take a picture with my boss and I. And we took a picture together, which is hanging on my wall. So she has a lot of pull with President Biden on that, with that. Definitely the two moments that I will always remember that serves both of us. And I would always remember how you helped to build a very strong relationship between the agency and the union, all while working tirelessly to ensure the best outcomes for our employees, our union members, while recognizing the important mission of serving our community. And surely your influence will continue on here for TriMet for years and decades to come. President Gonzalez, this is a bit out of order, but I would like to forward a resolution at this time to honor Shirley Block.
Absolutely, General Manager Dessou. And it's an honor to be able to bring this resolution forward. And with a little bit of persistence and a little bit of patience, we're going to listen together to a resolution that's been put together to honor Shirley Block, which you will get to take with you and commemorate what is an illustrious career and a fierce dedication to this work. Resolution honoring Shirley Block. Resolution of the Tri-County Metropolitan Transportation District of Oregon honoring Shirley Block for her dedicated service and commitment to our community. Whereas the Tri-County Metropolitan Transportation District of Oregon and its board members wish to honor Shirley Block for her exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to advancing public transportation in our community. And whereas Shirley Block has served TriMet, her coworkers, and our community for more than 46 years, starting as a TriMet nurse in 1978 and then making the transition in '81 to become a bus operator, subsequently working as a fare inspector, a road supervisor, a field operations coordinator, and later serving several terms as a member of the executive board of the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 757, finally being elected president of Local 757 in 2015. And whereas, throughout her long service, Shirley Block has consistently advocated for diversity and equity and regularly broke race and gender barriers in the workplace, being the first black female to serve as a TriMet fare inspector, congratulations, a road supervisor, a field operator, pardon me, did I just jump? Thank you, there we go. Yes, being the first black female to serve as a TriMet fare inspector, road supervisor, field operations coordinator, and president of the Amalgamated Transit Union, paving the way for others to overcome similar race, gender, and societal barriers. And whereas, during her presidency of ATU Local 757, Shirley Block has worked tirelessly to secure the best possible wages, benefits, and working conditions for her fellow union members, negotiating stubbornly, firmly, and collaboratively, it's all captured here, with management to secure successive working and wage agreements, and that have enhanced the work of TriMet's union employees and also improved working conditions for management employees. And whereas Shirley Block has been a dedicated, consistent, and effective advocate for TriMet's delivery of high-quality, efficient, clean, and safe public transportation services to the community, working collaboratively to help reimagine safety and security on the TriMet system. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the TriMet Board of Directors and the TriMet staff hereby express their gratitude to Shirley Block for her exceptional leadership, commitment, and service to TriMet, her TriMet colleagues, her union members, and to our community. And be it further resolved that a framed copy of this resolution be presented to Shirley Block as an expression of our heartfelt respect and appreciation. Sincerely, Ozzy Gonzalez, the TriMet Board and TriMet Agency. Let's give Shirley a round of applause, everyone. And before we get up for the photograph, I need to follow the protocols and make this official. Do we have a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Second, Kim.
Thank you very much, Director Lewis and Director Kim. It has been moved and seconded. All of those in favor of approving this resolution honoring Shirley Block, please do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. I love the gavel for this one. The motion carries. Once again, a round of applause, please. And
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
And congratulations. And I believe this may be the most apropos time to take a photograph, shall we? All right, we're going to take a quick photograph, and then we'll continue with the general manager's report. So please,
Mr. Chairman, if I
right
may.
up here. Director Edwards has something to say. Yes, Director Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shirley, I'm going to try to put this into words, but words cannot describe what you have done for TriMet in the time that you have been here. You have changed the climate and environment of labor management relationship. You've also changed the commitment of the workers that are represented by ATU, because they don't look at TriMet as a place of employment. They look at TriMet as a place of dedication that they care about, and they truly enjoy coming to work. They are truly committed to the mission of TriMet of serving the community. And I know that it's come from you, and I thank you for that.
Thank you for your words, Director Edwards. Do any other board members wish to make a statement before we move to a photograph to commemorate today? Okay. Our honoree, Shirley Block, please.
Good morning, Board. I want to say thank you for everything, all the kind words. I really appreciated working at TriMet. It was a great place to work. I always encourage my new hires to look at this TriMet as a career, not just a job, and please come to work. That's my biggest plea, to come to work and drive safely. Whatever job you're doing at TriMet, do it safely. Go home to your family. This is a great place, and I love working here. And I want to thank Sam so much, because he was a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Board, for bringing him on board. I have a great relationship. I pray to God that it never changes. Everything stay the same. You guys have my number. If you need me for anything, I'm always available. And thank you again.
I feel like, Sam, would you like to say a word?
Yes, I do. I have a letter that I wrote to Shirley. Let me have it here. And what I'll do is I'll give this to her as well. Just a few minutes. This is directly from me as a general manager. To Shirley, I'm writing to express my deepest gratitude for your extraordinary dedication and service to TriMet for over 46 years, as well as your friendship and support for me during my time as general manager. Your journey with TriMet is nothing short of inspirational, encompassing roles as a nurse, a bus operator, field operations coordinator, road supervisor, and finally an esteemed president of ATU Local 757. Your unwavering commitment and leadership has significantly contributed to the strength and success of our organization. And it was during your tenure as ATU 757 president that the relationship between TriMet and the union reached new heights. Your efforts in fostering collaboration and mutual respect have been pivotal, creating a harmonious environment that has benefited both our teams and the communities we serve. Your ability to navigate the complexities of each role you've taken on during your tenure at TriMet with grace and professionalism has left an indelible mark on this agency. As a nurse, I can imagine that your compassion, care, and humor were deeply appreciated. As a bus operator and field operations coordinator, your personal touch had to be beneficial to our riders and coworkers alike. As a road supervisor, your guidance and support undoubtedly ensured smooth operations. And as the ATU 757 president, I can attest that your visionary leadership has strengthened the partnership between agency leadership and our union staff, ensuring their well-being and improving their job satisfaction. On behalf of myself, the leadership team, and all your colleagues at TriMet, I want to thank you for your tireless service, your unwavering dedication, and your profound impact on our organization. Bravo, your legacy of excellence will continue to inspire us all. Wishing you the very best in your future endeavors. Sign me.
Signed me. Bravo indeed. And if you could please grace us with a photograph.
I'll give you one in one hand. Ozzy has the other one.
How many hands do you have?
I'll hold this one with you here.
Everybody could look at me. Thank you. Thank you.
I do. I just want to let everybody know, this is the picture where she got with me and the president of the United States. And I put in here, I will never forget this day with you and President Biden. You're the best. All right.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Well, a day of lots of excitement today. Thank you so much. What a fantastic career journey to commemorate today. General Manager, the floor continues to be yours.
Okay, turning back to business this morning as well. TriMet provided 5.5 million rides in June, and that figure reflects a 12% growth in ridership over June of last year. And to give you an idea of what that looks like on our system, we saw about 145,000 additional weekly rides in June 2024 compared to June 2023. And one of the things I want to let you know, Board, is that June provided the very best weekly rides in a month since February of 2020. So June was a big month, a huge month for us. Transitioning, we're going to turn things over. Our focus now is going to be on the agency/general manager objectives and deliverables for the last year and how well we performed for fiscal year 2024. I would like to invite our Senior Director of Planning, Alan Leto, to review the scorecard. As your general manager, I'll step back and listen in for this portion of my report. Alan?
Thank you, President Gonzalez, members of the board. Hopefully you have the document in your packet, and that's the table that's got the green column in it. Happily green because many of these are completed and almost everything is on schedule and making progress. So I just want to talk you briefly through this and remind that the deliverables come from the business plan. So in early FY24, we took a review of the business plan and identified the key items that the general manager was going to put extra emphasis on, and that this is what you see in front of you. So briefly, looking at the very first one around Vision 2030, that's complete, having incorporated it into the business plan, into the budget, into the CIP, and the budget that you adopted fully reflects that with goals and objectives reflecting Vision 2030. Number two, in terms of service, we have completed FY24 service increases, and the service ordinance for FY25 has been passed. And in fact, in just over a month, we will be putting the first round of those into service on August 25th. We also, critical for our ability to have service, hired over 390 bus operators last year, which is huge. That's absolutely critical. Those folks provide excellent customer service. They have to be out there for us to be able to provide the level of service that we want to. The third, hire and train additional employees for presence on the system, and you can see we achieved over 350 positions in safety and security in the variety of different positions that we have identified. Number 4, around engagement. All of these are complete with the events, the coordination with partners, the low-income fair with over 10,000 signed up for a low-income fair, and the community focus groups as well. And then the last on that first page, number 5, the Better Red Line Max, we did in fact achieve what is called substantial completion in June, and we are on track to open in August, at the end of August, just as scheduled. Then on the second page, number 6, around contractor participation, we had over 100 contractors total that participated in these events to learn more and get involved in our projects. Number 7, recognizing and celebrating employees. We had some great events, including Family Fun Day and Transit Driver Appreciation Day. Number 8, the strategic financial plan. The elements are all met. That's all complete. Number 9, around the battery electric buses, we have all of them on property and the commissioning is on schedule. In fact, the first one should be in service in the next few weeks. Number 10 on the next page, delivering state of good repair projects. All of these, except one, are either complete or in progress. The 148th MAX station we have flagged there, actually upon review as we went into the budget cycle, we realized that there were some other stations that were at least as needy and had higher ridership, so we changed the timing on that, and so that has been rescheduled for a future year. Number 11, engaging with ATU. I think we saw a great example of that the item specifically here is complete, and of course the agreement is about to come up for a vote. Number 12, for the Type 6, that's the brand new light rail vehicles that are replacing our old Type 1 vehicles. We do have 19 light rail vehicles on property, which is great. Before they are actually ours, they need to pass all of the tests, and the testing timing has not been quite what we expected from the manufacturer. We are still working on that and looking forward to some of those starting to get into service very soon, but that is why that's flagged with the yellow. And 13, the DEIA plan, you can see that's completed and delivered with the implementation on focus areas such as the employee resource groups underway, which have been, I think, very successful internally. And then finally, on the last page, number 14, around workforce development, we have the partnership with PCC, we have the development of the internship, the definition of the entry level and ladders, and the succession planning is in progress. And then finally, maintain positive board relations. We hope you will agree that this one should be green. All of those items have been complete. And that is my brief update on the general manager deliverables for FY 2024.
Thank you, Alan, on that. Really appreciate it. President Gonzalez, I think I'm going to go ahead and continue unless there's questions.
Thank you for that opportunity. Does anyone on the board wish to make a question about our Alan's presentation before our GM moves it forward?
Director Frisbee.
I see. Yes, thank you, Director Frisbee. I'm getting flagged that you have your hand raised. Thanks to everyone for their help with this. Director Frisbee.
Look at this team effort. I want to thank you, Alan, for the presentation, and thank you, General Manager DeSue, for all of your work in moving these objectives forward. I did want to flag, and I had a little email conversation about this. I'm interested in the board getting briefed on some of the strategies to achieve Vision 2030. We had a board retreat earlier in the year where we talked about some of the high-level objectives and general approaches, but there's some big policy questions in the way we achieve our goal of 120 million rides a year. And I think it would help the board to get updated on those strategies with a bit more detail than what we got in February, if possible.
I will make sure that that takes place very soon.
Thank you. And thank you, General Manager DeSue, for all your work. I hope that looking at this list is gratifying and helps you realize how much the agency has been doing to support the.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. All right, I see Director Lewis has a comment as well.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. I'm not sure about the rest of the board members, but General Manager, wow. You knocked it out of the park. I think that looking at your deliverables is outstanding. I know that you had many challenges along the way, but looking back, I did take the time to pull out the first version of the deliverables and saw quite a few things that were added. Just one or two things removed. I'll ask you later, where'd those go? But probably moved or moved to the next year. But remarkable work along with your team and all of those on the sidebars here under responsible divisions. Congratulations for bringing where we are today without everyone's hard work and the leadership of our general manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lewis. Any other board members? I'm looking on the screen. I see celebration, huzzah, coming from Director Frisbee. And the one thing I'd like to add, I will take the opportunity to echo Director Lewis's wow, and to point out how I'm really looking forward to what, on the heels of all of the strategic development that's been happening, starting to really hone in on what I consider the nesting of goals. There's the agency-wide goals that I think Vision 2030 is capturing very nicely as that gets developed. And then I think there's the board goals on the heels of Director Lewis's comment, and those need to be reflecting agency priorities but differentiating for the board. And finally, our general manager goals. I think that nesting those things, making sure that we're clear between what the agency's doing, what the board is doing, what our general manager is doing, and seeing the alignment across those three things is going to be a really important next step. I just wanted to add that, and I look forward to the advancement of the strategies and of these goals. And I congratulate you for all of the progress made in the last 12 months. With that, all right. General Manager DeSue, the floor continues to be yours.
First, I want to say thank you to the board. Working with you daily, weekly, and over the last 12 months, I really appreciate that. One, I want to say that we have world-class employees here at TriMet. Okay. We have world-class employees here at TriMet, and I just want to say to all of TriMet employees, especially the senior leadership team, how much I appreciate you and what you've done over these last 12 months in this fiscal year. So thank you to everyone, every employee, top to bottom, bottom to top at TriMet, and really feel it here. Really appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you. Okay, so as we look forward to our next fiscal year and envision what we hope to accomplish, I want to just take stock of where we are now and provide a clear vision of where we are starting. As we begin our 2025 fiscal year, here's a look at the state of TriMet.
TriMet and our riders are on the road to opportunity. We're working hard to improve the customer experience, and riders are noticing. It's getting better on board. TriMet's ridership grew 12% in the past year, and our attitude and awareness survey is is showing a marked improvement in the opinion of the job TriMet is doing. TriMet and our community are ready for a better red. The launch of Extended Max Red Line service in late August will give people in Hillsborough a one-seat ride to and from PDX, and those in a growing job center of Washington County the opportunity more Max service provides. This comes after reliability improvements and the newest Max station in 9 years, the Gateway North Station, opened in March. TriMet and our community are rolling forward together with bus system improvements. In August, our second major round of bus service improvements developed with the community launch as we move closer to pre-pandemic service levels. As we bring bus service closer to those with lower incomes, we're connecting more people with opportunities through extended routes on 3 lines, 2 new bus lines, including direct service between Oregon City, West Lynn, and Lake Oswego, and more buses or improved schedules on 8 other lines. This, after Forward Together improvements in the past year, added service and improved frequency on 11 lines. TriMet is keeping and bringing more riders on board with affordable fares. Today, more people are signed up for our Honored Citizen Reduced Fare, with a record 14,000 plus who signed up based on their income alone in the past year. More than 65,000 people have taken advantage of that option since we began offering it in 2018. Continuing to promote Honored Citizen Fare to older adults and people with disabilities, and expanding it to active and former duty military, is connecting people most reliant on transit with opportunities. The move to keep unlimited rides for just $28 a month for those paying Honored Citizen Fare and $100 for those paying adult fare, after our first fare increase in years, makes it easier and more affordable to ride for less. This year, we anticipate distributing more than $7 million worth of fares through our Access Transit programs, on top of $17.2 million in the past 3 years. These go to high school students as well as community, social service, and nonprofit organizations. More people are joining TriMet and our mission to connect people with opportunity. Today, nearly 100 people are in training to join our bus and Max operator ranks, as our $2,500 hiring bonus draws mechanics and others for select maintenance positions. Among our hardworking union staff, our Clean Team, formed the past year, is making a difference, and riders are noticing. TriMet's continuous efforts are improving safety for our riders, employees, and the community. Efforts that have received back-to-back gold awards from our peers. Our frontline staff, making up safety, security, and customer service teams, have grown to nearly 500 people. The renewed enforcement of our rules for riding focuses on access, making sure people of all abilities can safely move through our vehicles, cleanliness, making for a better experience when riding, and safety, making everyone aware of what is allowed and what's not. As drug possession becomes a crime once again in September, and drug use on transit becomes an even more serious offense in 2025, we'll work closely with our transit police and other law enforcement to hold people accountable and to create a safer atmosphere on board. While tragic incidents have at times left us heartbroken in the last year, calls for both criminal and non-criminal police services and incidents targeting employees dropped in 2023. TriMet will open our new and improved mobility center in the coming months in a new and more accessible location, and it will have a new name, the Jan Campbell Mobility Center, in honor of our longtime chair of the Committee on Accessible Transportation. It will open in the Lloyd neighborhood to those who require our Lyft paratransit service or need help learning how to navigate the accessibility features of our fixed route service. With a 98% approval rating, our Lyft paratransit service has become more of a lifeline than ever to those in our community. Adding to accessibility, in the coming year we expect to retire our last Type 1, the trains with the stairs, as our newest trains start rolling into service. And TriMet will be rolling out 24 brand new, long-range battery electric buses in the coming year. In the future, we'll give our community the opportunity for cleaner air with fuel cell electric buses powered by hydrogen, thanks to Oregon's congressional delegation securing critical funding for TriMet as we work toward our goal of a zero-emissions bus fleet by 2040. TriMet is continuing to make our system more resilient by testing and bringing in new technology, materials, and equipment. Improving the counterweight system for the MAX overhead wires prevented any damage to our wires and trains during the recent heat wave. But we're testing out an additional feature to keep the wires from sagging even more. And we're bringing in new equipment to break up ice that gets embedded in the rails during extreme winter events. After replacing 8,600 wooden rail ties during a weeks-long disruption earlier this year, we'll look at opportunities to do similar upgrade and repair work during the overnight maintenance window that is increasing in late August. TriMet, Metro, PBOT, and other partners are jumping at the opportunity to transform one of the most dangerous corridors in our region, 82nd Avenue. As TriMet begins project development of the 82nd Avenue Transit Project in the coming year, the combined efforts will improve safety in transit along this culturally diverse and historically marginalized area. TriMet is engaging with our community like never before, with record engagement in the past year and a half around our fare increase, equitable fare options, Forward Together bus service, and service changes. And we will have dozens more opportunities for people to engage with us in the coming months, including at multilingual events. As TriMet zooms into the future, jump on board and ride with us. Destination, opportunity. We are TriMet. We are how life moves.
And President Gonzalez, that concludes my report for this morning.
Well, thank you very much. It felt like cheating a little bit to get that all on video. That was great. It was a beautiful video. Well done. Kudos to all the team involved in putting that together. It provides a really nice synopsis. That was nice. You got out the easy way this time. I'm teasing. It was really well done. Does anyone on the board wish to make a comment or have a question for our general manager on the report? Yes, Director Kim.
Just a quick comment. Thank you for your service, and thank you for meeting all the goals. And as for the ones that weren't as green, those are the ones that were outside of our control, right? So those are quite all right. And so really appreciate your team, you and your team. Just wanted to say that. Thank you.
All right, any fellow board members? I'm looking on the screen. Okay. All right. I echo Director Kim's sentiment, and clearly, I think it would be no surprise to note that it takes a village for a lot of what's been completed here, but it's great to have a leader with a heart at the helm to be able to take this village and steer it in a really, really good direction. So thanks once again. I really appreciate that. And with that, any other words before you conclude?
Let's do business.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first. It's time to move on to some of the general business of the board, and that begins with our consent agenda. So I'd like to now turn our attention to the consent agenda for today's meeting. Items that are appearing on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved by the board in one blanket motion. And this morning, the consent agenda includes two items. First, the approval of the minutes of our last meeting on June 26th, and resolution number 24-07-39, endorsing the statement of board member responsibilities and code of conduct. Does any director wish to have any item removed from the consent agenda? All right. Oh, I'm looking online. Getting better at this. Okay, I see no hands raised. Fantastic. Is there a motion to approve the items contained in the consent agenda today?
So
Move to
Kim.
accept.
I heard a motion from Director Kim, and I believe a second from Director Edwards. You're gonna have to go to
Yes.
that button faster around this crowd. It's been moved and seconded. All of those who wish to approve today's consent agenda, please do so now by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, the motion approved unanimously. Motion carries, thank you. Next, I'd like to move us, let me see here, let me make sure I got this thing in correct order. All right, now we move to the resolutions on the regular agenda. The next resolution before the board this morning is resolution number 24-07-40, authorizing contracts with WireNut Enterprises LLC, DBA MD Electrical Services, WireNut, Liberty Electrical Incorporated, Liberty, and Team Electric Company, Team Electric, for on-call low-voltage electrical services and equipment. Mr. General Manager, do you have any comments on this resolution?
Thanks, President Gonzalez, members of the board. TriMet has an extensive system of data and communications network. Those networks support every aspect of TriMet operations, including our CCTV cameras on light rail platforms, data connections to vehicles and platform equipment, our rail control systems, servers, desktops, computing, and much more. The services of low voltage and power electricians are necessary to make modifications, repairs, and upgrades to our CCTV and communications systems. And these services are critical for maintaining and upgrading our electrical infrastructure, ensuring safety and improving the reliability of operations. TriMet does not have the technical expertise to perform these tasks. By having multiple contractors on call, we can respond swiftly to electrical issues and reduce downtime. The contracts with the three companies named in the resolution, WireNut, Liberty, and Team Electric, are structured to provide flexibility and cover a wide range of electrical needs, from minor repairs to significant installations. The resolution requests authorization of $2.5 million for each five-year contract, with a $7.5 million expected to be the maximum expenditure. Any work done in the current fiscal year is fully funded under TriMet's current adopted budget, and work in the future fiscal years will be authorized only as approved in budgets for those years. A significant percentage of the workforce involved in these contracts represents minority groups and are female, reflecting our commitment to diversity and inclusion, and I recommend your approval.
Thank you, General Manager Dessou. Before we move into discussion, is there a motion to approve resolution number 24-07-40?
So moved. Kim?
Thank you, Director Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Did I hear that, Director Frisbee? It's been moved and
Did.
seconded. Very good, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Before we go into a vote, let's have a discussion. Is there any questions or comments about this resolution? Yes, Director Kellogg.
Lost my hand there. Thank you, President Gonzalez. I just have a question about capacity here. I understand this contract is replacing two expiring contracts, 5 years, same length, and the total spend was $4 million. And now we're talking about 7.5. I know costs have increased somewhat, but that's almost 100% increase. So can somebody help me understand, are we doing a broader scope of work?
Yeah, Ethan, why don't you and Matt come on up? So we're talking to this situation here.
Absolutely. Thank you, General Manager Dessou. Thank you for the question, Director Kellogg. There are two factors at play. One is, no surprises for anybody, the enormous amount of inflation that we've seen in anything related to construction over past years. The other one is actually the question that the spend over the last 5 years was about $4 million. We're asking for authority of $2.5 million times 3. when we're working with these vendors, we often have short turnaround times, and what we find over long periods is that availability of contractors varies, and the spend does not wind up being equal. So the ceiling that we're looking at is $7.5 million. We're not necessarily expecting to spend all of that, but we may very well hit a $2.5 million limit on one of those contracts.
Great. Thank you for that answer. My second one is the cost shown on the bid form item here. Some of these seem to be within pennies of each other. And I guess I'm interested in, I can see that what the components were, but where was the biggest variation between these? Was it labor rates? Was it overhead, profit?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Matt to answer that. He's closer to that review than I am.
Well, actually, it was all of the above, but it was mostly about the margins of profit. I mean, of the
markup.
The markup, yeah.
Okay, so I hope you communicated that to some of these folks, and maybe they lower their expectations and get over the bar next time. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, Director Kellogg. And this is a case in point of the difference of procurement process that we adhere to between what we've seen a lot of in the best value contracting versus what we're seeing in front of us today, which is a low bid model. And, these are some of the outcomes that we are subject to when we come into a low bid environment. I am pleased to see that we did have as many bidders as we did. There's something encouraging about that from my perspective. I appreciate you going through the procurement process. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So with that, we'll move to a vote. All of those in favor of approving Resolution 24-07-40, please do so now by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you very much for your time. Next, the board will consider resolution number 24-07-41, amending TriMet's defined contribution retirement plan for its management and staff employees to revise the plan's definition of considered compensation. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
Thanks, President Gonzalez, members of the board. TriMet is increasingly experiencing significant challenges in both recruiting new employees and retaining existing employees due to the highly competitive job market that's out there. Amending TriMet's defined contribution retirement plan for management and staff employees allow us to remain competitive in the job market and reward our long-term seasoned non-union employees at the top of their pay grade. The amendment's revision to the definition of considered compensation will include certain types of compensation previously excluded and the calculation of TriMet's 10% contribution to the employee's 401A retirement account, thereby increasing the retirement savings for those affected employees. The amendment will have minimal financial impact on TriMet, but will significantly benefit the employees impacted and help the agency retain top talent. I have both Nancy and Kim Sewell here, both of our executive leaders. They will present an overview.
Great, thank you very much, President Gonzalez and members of the board. So as we look at TriMet's 401 defined contribution and for the non-union staff, we're asking for an amendment. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So as we look at our 401A defined contribution retirement plan for management and staff, we're asking to amend the definition of what's considered compensation to include wage adjustments that are paid in lieu of a salary increase because that employee is at the top of his or her grade. So when an employee receives a lump sum payment in lieu of that salary increase, they are currently not receiving the employer 10% retirement contribution to their 401A accounts because the payment, per our definition, is not considered compensation. There are 16 employees who are currently affected, and I want to emphasize this does not include anyone on the executive team. but from individuals across the organization in information technology, engineering, construction, public affairs, finance, maintenance, legal services, and safety and security. In total, the impact for 2023, which is when the change occurred, that we were providing lump sums, the total impact for those 16 individuals is only $5,360. Now, while that is an immaterial amount to TriMet, when you look at, we have almost a $2 billion budget, that amount is not considered immaterial to the employees when you consider the time value of money invested over time. I'd like to give you an example. So we have Jane Smith, who's a senior business systems analysis, and Jane's salary is $120,000 a year, and that individual is at the maximum pay for her pay grade. Jane will receive a performance-based lump sum payment in lieu of a salary increase of $6,000. Jane would not receive that 10% employer contribution of $600 to her 401A retirement account. And again, while that seems immaterial, if you look at the time value of money of that $600 invested for 10 years at a mere 8%, it more than doubles. And that becomes significant to that employee. Advance. So in making this adoption, it really just goes beyond that $5,360. We're asking and looking at the implementing a fair and consistent recognition of compensation for individual employees who are at the top of their grade scale who receive a wage adjustment in lieu of that base salary increase to recognize their hard-working performance during the year. These individuals are long-term employees. They're very experienced and they're highly valued, and we don't want to lose them, just because of minor technicality in the way we've defined compensation.
Thank you,
We'd be happy
Nancy.
to answer questions.
Nancy and Kim, just hang here for a moment. President Gonzalez, I recommend my approval of your approval of the resolution.
Thank you. Before we go into discussion, I'd like to see if there is a motion to approve Resolution number 24-07-41.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Lewis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
You were beat out, Director Edwards. Director Way has seconded. We have a move and a second. Before we get into voting, does anyone on the board wish to make a comment or have a question about this resolution? Director Kellogg.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So you included an example, 2023, 16 affected folks. How about years prior? Were the numbers the same, larger?
2023 is the first year that we implemented the lump sum payment in lieu of a base salary increase. So that $5,360 is the total amount.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. Before the program was implemented, how many people did we have at the top of their pay grade who had maxed out? I know that you probably don't know that answer right offhand.
It's going to be less than 16.
It's a very small amount. I don't have that number. We could get that. It's always been a very small amount.
Okay, and then in terms of people, and this is a very broad question, reaching the top of their pay grade, is there anything that we can do to put another step in, increase that total amount? I assume it's affected by COLA.
No, it's different. So the way our job grades are created is based on the market. It's entirely market-based. And so we go to the market with a job description that helps us identify a midpoint, and that creates a salary grade. So it's completely separate from and independent of the individual employee. There are some jobs that have sort of career ladders, and those will have different grades. And there are opportunities for those employees to move into those if they desire. Some don't. This really applies to those employees that are happy and content in their current position and they just happen to reach the maximum of their salary grade based on the merit over the years.
Okay. Last question on the amendment. The entire plan was included, and I totally understand why. But there's a question I had about considered compensation. The last line you have here on your amendment is that considered compensation includes the portion of unused sick leave that is contributed to the plan pursuant to a section I don't have access to. Can you help me understand that piece?
Yeah, I don't, so can you tell me what it says again? I just don't have it in front of me.
The last line in the amendment, considered compensation includes the portion of unused sick leave that is contributed to the plan pursuant to section 4.3.2.
And do we have a hard copy of the amendment? I need to see it.
Well, we can take it offline, is fine.
Yeah, okay.
But I'd like to get an answer to that question.
We can do that.
Is that below the yellow highlight?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's below the yellow highlight.
Yeah, very last sentence.
Is that an amendment or is that part of the?
Yeah, that was in there previously.
So what, I can explain that.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Another phone
Thank you.
coming up.
Hello, I'm Kara Fitzpatrick, I'm the Director of Financial Services. So this is referring to when an employee who's vested in our 401A defined contribution plan terminates service with TriMet. At the end of that, we do a calculation of that employee's unused sick bank and contribute up to, I think, 1,700 hours is where it caps out at for sick hours into the employee's 401A account. So that's why that language is in there, the unused sick time when the employee terminates employment with TriMet. So whatever unused sick time, meaning their sick bank, we'll put 10% on top of those hours into their 401A account.
Okay, and again, sorry for the technical questions, I'm by nature a creature of language here. The considered compensation definition excludes fringe benefits and other things. So is this somehow considered base compensation?
Base wages.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the clarification.
Yep, you bet. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Director Kim?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. I support it. I think it makes sense. This is one of the little things that are logical things to do as we're talking about building a fast, reliable, safe transit. So thanks to the HR team, thanks to the finance team for bringing this up. Thank you.
And thank you for that. Is there another comment? Oh,
Director
thank you,
Frisbee.
Director Frisbee. Thank you. Takes a village. Yes, Director Frisbee.
I just wanted to thank the team and also Director Kellogg for digging into this a little bit more. My understanding, based on the feedback I got about the board packet, is that this also brings us in line with most other major employers in the area. And so I'm glad to see that we are moving forward and aligning ourselves with sort of best practices and our other colleagues and compatriots around the region to make sure our employees know how valued they are and how much we appreciate them. So thank you.
I appreciate you bringing that context, Director Frisbee. Any other board members wish to raise a question or bring a comment? All right. I'd simply like to add before we move to the vote that I truly appreciate what is a very specific, targeted, and precise adjustment to address a very real situation. And mostly, I appreciate that this situation is putting forward a message to our great staff that we value their contribution and that we see how much their continued presence would mean to us. So I really appreciate leaning into one more element in what is considered a larger strategy to make sure that we hire and retain the best individuals to fulfill our mission. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to remind the public at large, TriMet is hiring. We need more operators. Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to move us into a vote. Oh, Director Lewis, do you have a comment?
No, wait.
Oh, okay. Ready for the vote. All of those in favor of approving resolution number 24-07-41, please do so now by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, seeing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. All right. Next, the board will consider resolution number 24-07-42, authorizing a contract with Init Innovations Transportations Incorporated, known as Init, for HOP mobile applications and website development services. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
President Gonzalez, members of the board, this contract aims to enhance the user experience for our riders by improving the functionality, usability, and reliability of our HOP FastPass digital platforms. This includes the HOP mobile apps, our HOP virtual cards, our HOP websites. Since the launch of these digital assets between 2017 and 2019, the underlying technology has not been updated. On the mobile side, this raises serious concerns about security compliance, compatibility with Apple and Android operating system updates, and general usability on newer phones. Many of these same concerns are also true for the websites. After careful consideration of several options, the team recommends that TriMet contract with Init to build and maintain the HOP mobile and website solutions, which, if approved today, would go live in 2026. I have Director of Fair Revenue and Administrative Services, Sophia Franklin, here to explain why it is necessary that TriMet addresses this today and why this contract is the best path forward for our agency and our riders. So Sophia, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to do a brief overview of the current state of our HOP mobile apps and the corresponding virtual cards to help justify why we need to replace them, and then talk about the solution that we're proposing with this contract. And then I'll do the same with our websites. So these apps bring in, they're one of our largest sales channels. So last fiscal year, they generated $11 million in revenue, and they helped riders manage about $2 million in auto loads for HOP for transit fare. The contract for the mobile application and virtual cards was awarded in 2014. So a lot of the core design decisions, especially around security and languages, was all established prior to their launch in 2017. So from 2014 to 2024, we've come a long ways when it comes to technology, design, and security practices. That's one of the core risks of these solutions, is the ability to maintain them as digital assets in our portfolio. There's also concerns around compatibility with future operating systems and newer phones. So every year, Apple and Google, they launch through the fall a major upgrade to the operating system, and every year we're able to make our apps still work on those newer operating systems, and it's just becoming a larger and larger risk as technology develops. The mobile apps directly manage the virtual cards in the wallet. So we also have direct relationships with Apple and Google to continue to maintain those virtual cards. So the new solution that we would be building as a part of this contract is a solution that has already been delivered for Spokane Transit by Init. So the mobile apps for Spokane Transit provide about 80% of the functionality that we would need here in Portland. So that helps provide a much more economical solution for us. We're not building from the ground up. And it provides assurances for long-term support. So as more transit agencies use the same technology, there's a larger focus and effort on continued operational support. We've also received buy-in directly from Google and Apple to help us build the new virtual card associated with this app, which is the largest gap between what Spokane has and what we will need. On the website side, myhopcard.com generates about $2.6 million in annual revenue for TriMet, C-Tran, and Portland Streetcar, and then the institutional website generates about $15.7 million. The code base that was used to build both of these websites is now deprecated, meaning it's not supported by quarterly security updates. So we've contracted with a third-party security company to help get those updates. We've contracted with a security consultant, and we've spent a lot of time shoring up the security around the websites. But it's time to move to a modern code base that receives the ongoing security support from the provider. On the institutional side, institutional website, we've received a lot of feedback too from our customers on the usability of the website. and the difficulty for using it. So as a part of this, we'll be looking at modernizing the design for our users. The solution in this contract proposed by INIT is what was delivered to Orca in Seattle. So again, we're taking a proven platform where there's been a lot of investment in the design. And by having more agencies on board, it helps for long-term assurance of support. So with that, I'd like to help answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I can already see that there will be some questions. Before we get into questions and discussion, I'd like to first offer up the opportunity for a motion. Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Kellogg. Is there a second?
Second, Kim.
Thank you, Director Kim. The motion has been moved and seconded. Let's open up the discussion. Director Wei.
Thank you. I think this is really important that we take a look at, new technology, emerging technology, and revamp what we need to do to make all of our systems accessible and more modern. So I do have a few questions. So with this contract with INIT, can you explain a little bit why we're seeking them as a sole source provider? I know you've provided that in our rationale, but, and I know that sometimes with all of these technology upgrades, we need to be able to, like what you said about using other transit agencies around the area that already have similar, the similar vendor that they're using, so that we're not just coming up with something from scratch, that we're already rebuilding something with them. But can you just explain why we're just selecting them as the sole source provider for this?
Yeah, thank you for raising that, because I realize that's a sensitive area. Both Spokane and Orca Seattle, INIT is their system integrator. So those solutions have already been integrated with those agencies' back offices, which are INIT back offices. And so we have an INIT back office as well. And so from a time to market perspective and a price perspective, it would be very, very difficult for other vendors who have not already integrated with the INIT back office to provide a solution that was competitive. So that's from the website and the mobile app side. In the resolution, I also talk about the difficulty of developing virtual cards. So there's only 2 companies in the United States that have the endorsement from Google and Apple to bring a virtual card to market. And that's INIT and Cubic. And Cubic owns UMO, a fully owned subsidiary. And we spoke directly through this process with Cubic and UMO to see if we went to market, would you bid on this work and would this be of interest to you? And they said no. They only bid on full automated fare collection solutions. So if we said, we're gonna scratch everything we have and we wanna go out with, a $75 million contract for a new AFC solution, they would bid on that. But they won't bid on a portion of the work.
Thank you. And I also understand that this will, hopefully make things more seamless and integrated. I know just from my user experience the other day, I was on the website and I was, it works fine, but I think given some of the feedback from the public, there could be just, again, more room for improvement in terms of accessibility, just maneuvering different features. So I appreciate that we're going to be working with them to really make things more, I think seamless is a better way to use it, or to phrase that. So I think also along those lines, can you tell a little bit about the data security? Obviously, people are going to be entering their banking information here. Nothing's changed from what is currently being done, but how can we reassure the public that their information is, particularly, right, their financial information is going to be continuing to be protected, secure, all of that?
Yeah, good question. So we take our PCI payment card industry compliance audit very seriously and are audited on an annual basis by an external auditor to provide the assurance that we are protecting both personally identifiable information and payment card information. How the system is architected really helps remove all risk from TriMet as a part of that audit, because we rely on our banking partner, Wells Fargo Merchant Services, to provide a separately hosted page for payment. So it is a little bit of an awkward user experience, but if you go through the process to purchase fare, you'll see that we actually redirect customers to a third-party banking website that's owned by Wells Fargo Merchant Services to input and manage their credit card or debit card information. And so nobody at TriMet, no one in IT has access to any of that information.
Thank you. And then my last thing is, we talked about this a little bit at the APTA conference, but someone had brought up just the importance of continuing to engage with our committees that we have, TIAC, CAT, et cetera, to really, have all of those groups test out, everything that we're sort of rolling out. And particularly when it comes to such a public-facing, right, service, like the Hot Pass system. So can you tell me a little bit about how we are going to hopefully engage with community or the public to, get feedback, just kind of see as we're rolling this out with INIT, how are we going to continue to engage with the public so that, we're working out the bugs and trying to, improve things as folks are using a new, hopefully better website and app.
Yeah, we really appreciate those committees and their input. And so in the contract, we've clearly defined various testing phases. The first phase will be what we call an alpha testing phase. So we will look for volunteers from various committees and from TriMet to download the app and use the app in the production environment and get their feedback. Then we'll move to a beta testing phase where we solicit volunteers from the general public. So that might go out, via emails to TriMet supporters. And so we'll do a very slow rollout where we bring in various groups to get their feedback before we do a full public launch.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Director Kim?
Thank you. I thank you. I support this, and this did make me think about other related things. For instance, the way I see it, the root problem here is, what's concerning to me personally is the lack of security compliance, either since the 2017 launch or the 2020 acquisition of the vendor by strategic something mapping. And so now I'm thinking about, well, this is something I also would like to take offline with Sam too, but what other, tools that do we have that are also outdated? Of course, I can't think of one that's as important and as significant as our revenue-generating hub, but I think this is something that we need to look into. I know Ethan and his team are great at it, but also let's double-click on those things, right, and ensure that especially this critical arms and legs we do have, we're not going, by for a few years. And related note, I was actually talking to Ethan just briefly. I celebrated how TriMet was able to recover so quickly on a recent outage, global outage, that frankly, as we all know, Delta is still struggling to of all companies, to get back on their feet. So I think one of the critical reasons why we were able to be successful, thanks to our amazing staff who are willing to work overnight, but it's because we had done our homework and we were prepared. And so I think this is one of the instances that's, as for this resolution goes, yes, we need to get this fixed and improve. But I think this triggers us, this gives us an opportunity to look into all the other aspects where we're behind. So just wanted to say that piece, and I'll have continuing conversation with other leaders. Thank you very much.
Any other board members have a comment? I do have a question, and it was already hinted at a little bit in Director Way's comments, but I'd love to provide the opportunity for you to share without making promises, but maybe some hopes or something from what you know from our other vendors, like the other users like Spokane Transit. Is there anything here that you think users, riders can look forward to? And as far as user experience or usability, any benefits that will come from being able to bring this contract to fruition and work with this provider?
Yes. I don't want people to get too excited because it's going to take us 2 years to roll this out. But one of the biggest pieces of work that we will be doing as a part of this is working on allowing our institutional customers and anyone with a personalized hop card to be able to virtualize that card. So today, if you have your photo or your name or your company's name on the card, those cards can't be virtualized in the mobile wallet. Those users have to carry those cards. And we will be moving all of that information into the back end so that those riders can virtualize their hop cards, and so that inspectors, when those cards are inspected, can see that information in the inspection application instead of relying on the physical card to verify that information. That's 2 years away, though. So if this is approved today, that's 2 years away.
Thank you.
And that represents a large percentage of our ridership, so.
Thank you. Certainly security and reliability are benefits at large. Okay, any other comments or questions from the board before we go to a vote? I don't see any hands raised online. All right. All of those in favor of approving Resolution 24-07-42, please do so at this time by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for the presentation. Now the board will consider Resolution 24-07-43. Oh, and before I get into this, just a quick sanity check here. Anyone need a break? I know that we're plowing through some of this. I'm looking past the online folks for a second. Okay, all right, we got the hardcore. We're going to move into considering Resolution 24-07-43, authorizing a contract with Hoffman Construction Company of Oregon for construction manager general contractor, known as CMGC, services for the Columbia Operations Facility. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
President Gonzalez, members of the board, the Columbia Operations Facility is essential for efforts to meet the goal of a zero-emissions bus fleet by 2040. Columbia one day will be the home to a new facility built to meet LEED gold standards and also able to house up to 252 battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell buses. With the extensive work that must be done on the site to transform it into a fully functioning operations facility, TriMet has adopted a CMGC approach for the project. This will allow for better coordination, cost control, and timely completion. The board approved the resolution in March, allowing TriMet to solicit a best value request for proposal. In response to the RFP, TriMet received 4 proposals, and our evaluation committee ultimately selected Hoffman for the award. Hoffman Construction has an extensive experience in managing large-scale, complex construction projects and is well-suited to deliver this critical facility. The contract before you today is for pre-construction services only. The board's approval of the resolution will authorize Hoffman to receive an initial $534 for pre-construction services, and the amount is included in the engineering and construction budget, FY25. Hoffman has 223 employees, of whom about 17% are members of a minority group and 38% are female. On diversity, I should also note that Hoffman has a teaming agreement with Raymore Construction, which is a certified minority-owned business, having graduated from the DBE program following its work with TriMet on the Division Transit project. Hoffman intends to award about 17% of the project work to DBE contractors. This facility is essential for supporting our growing operators and improving efficiency across our network. It also has the keystone in our transition to a zero-emissions bus fleet, which is a necessary pinnacle for the region and the state to meet climate action goals. And your approval of the resolution is recommended.
Thank you very much, General Manager Dessou. Before we move into a discussion, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 24-07-43?
So moved.
So moved.
I heard a motion with Director Kim. Is there a second?
I thought I beat him out this time.
I think there was the delay in sound. I saw your lips move, but I heard the voice over here. Would you like to second, Director Edwards? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone wish to make a comment or have a question? Director Kim, is your hand raised? It's okay. Director Kellogg.
Thank you, President Gonzalez, and what an exciting prospect that we have. Is there someone, staff, or should I ask you these questions?
You go ahead, and if I can't, I'll bring staff up.
Okay, so as I understand from the board packet, there was an initial RFP that went out. You got 4 or 5 responses, and then we did a second round. What was the reasoning behind doing a second round of reviews?
So I'm going to ask staff, Kate, and also Les, if you're out there. Shannon, come on up. Kim.
Thank you, General Manager Sam Dessou, and I'm Kate McKinnon-Kaiser. My team is delivering this project. Shannon is here to answer any details, and Kim, you're on behalf of procurement.
Great, so Kim, my question was, why a second round?
Thank you for the question. We actually always go out for what we call a best and final offer from our proposers. The I don't want to say this, the evaluation committee initially gets together to score on the technical aspects of the proposals that are received. Then we bring them in for interviews to clarify any questions that might have come up from the initial scoring. And then the group is brought together again to then, discuss their pros and cons and to evaluate the final proposals that were submitted. And you'll see sometimes the scores do go up and down.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to ask without getting into private information. It appeared that one of the contractors who did the second bid, every one of their scores fell on the revision. Is there anything you can tell me about that?
I don't have any of the particulars with me. I do know that can happen from time to time.
Okay. Second question is maybe for your side. This is looking at like a 2.5-year, $500,000 to do planning and so forth. Is there any projection on what the total overall cost on this is going to be? I mean, I'm assuming 9 digits, like.
I mean, that's what pre-con's going to be all about, is trying to really work on the details on what we can figure out about the site, what the site number is kind of the real mystery, and we'll get the experts in there and define that budget.
And if I remember correctly, we're also in charge of the Powell garage. What did that come in at final?
Powell came in final at around 140 construction cost.
Okay, and so we're assuming at least similar, if not more, for this one.
Columbia is twice the size of Powell.
Okay. Last question on the Powell facility and this facility. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I read there's going to be some redundancy in functions in terms of fueling and washing and that kind of thing. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. So we have currently we have 3 bus bases, and they house their core functions to maintain the fleet and get them on the street every day, but also those overhaul and specialty functions are kind of peppered throughout the 3. Columbia plays a big role in really balancing out the capacity to perform that work.
Right, and I assume we'll have some individualized equipment for the hydrogen piece and other things. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Kellogg, I can also help out a little bit. I've given the team a dollar amount goal to work towards on this project so that you'll know. And right now, the target, and only the project target, is $302 million. And due to the hydrogen station, we've got to completely build a full hydrogen station at that location and all the buildings that goes with that.
Okay, and I assume, given the value, that we'll have another opportunity to vote on that and look at that.
And many different occasions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Look at you talking lingo. Stay tuned for more on that one. Director Edwards, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to also thank the staff for your work on this as well. My question was, how did the contractor come up with the DBE number of 17%? Could that be 14%? Could that be 20% at the end of the day? How did they come up with that number?
Yes, the 16% shown in the resolution is really a starting point during our pre-construction services. As we go through pre-construction and we work with Hoffman on their contracting plan, we're looking forward to having really meaningful DBE participation. And when we come back to you guys with the construction contract, we're certainly happy to update you on those numbers.
Okay, thank you. And that number will probably remain in close proximity to what has been planned out currently. Is that correct?
It's shown in the resolution. I'm not sure we have.
Yes.
We're anticipating it to be much higher once we kind of dive in and see what the contracting community is kind of
Okay.
playing a role
Thank you
in.
very much.
Yeah.
And I'll add, Director Edwards, as was mentioned in the previous comments, this is the pre-con phase of it, which tends to have a lot more things on paper than things in the field.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question or comment on this one? Well, I can't resist but to point out the importance of this project, and I think that, procurement process aside, it looks like there was a robust procurement process, just to really underscore how valuable this particular project is going to be for our carbon reduction strategy. It's more of a comment than a question. I don't see any other questions being raised over here, but I simply wanted to say Godspeed, hope all goes well. Hope we uncover the uncertainties sooner than later. Because there's so much learning that's going to happen, and it's going to position us for some tremendous innovation here in our region. So I look forward to seeing this project come to fruition. Let's see here. With that, I think it's time we go for a vote. I don't see any more comments. All of those in favor of approving Resolution 24-07-43, please do so now by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Bam. That one came with a little more audio. Okay, now, the board will consider resolution number 24-07-44, authorizing a contract with Cindy Thompson, event production for on-call event planning, execution, and staffing. General Manager, your comments, please.
President Gonzalez, members of the board, this modification is necessary to accommodate an increase in the scope of services required to support our expanded community engagement and outreach activities through 2028. This includes additional events and initiatives aimed at fostering stronger relationships with our riders and the communities we serve, as well as building ridership. Think back to our FX2 Grand Division grand opening celebration. That celebration to launch our first ever frequent express line included food, activities, and entertainment at 3 different sites along that 15-mile corridor. An estimate of 8,000 people participated. And the line has enjoyed incredible success, making significant gains in ridership. The types of celebrations created for such events often includes cultural tributes to honor the rich diversity of our riders and the Portland area. We're talking special decorations, food, music, group performances from local businesses that take careful consideration, vetting, and coordination. In addition, there are associated production costs, from deposits to post-event payment of expenses such as catering, audio-video equipment, tents, tables, chairs, venue spaces, and much more. These costs alone, which have risen greatly in the past year, can account for as much as 85% of the cost of an event and have been paid out by our current event planning partner, Cindy Thompson Events. This contract modification will increase the total contract value by $1.5 million, bringing the new total to $2.5 million through the contract's expiration in August 2028. The increase is needed because of current remaining funds are not sufficient to conduct the event planning and promotional activities TriMet anticipates over the next 4 years, and we got quite a few of them that's coming. These include community events to restore and increase ridership in order to meet Vision 2030 and enhance employee relations. The current necessary funding is included in public affairs budget for FY 2025. Also, I will note that the COVID-19 pandemic took its toll on event planners, and Cindy Thompson Event Production was the only company to respond to an RFP issued 1 year ago for such services. This is a woman-owned business that has an excellent record of work with our agency, and just think about the multiple events that we've had over the last year. I recommend your approval of the resolution.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Before the discussion, is there a motion to approve Resolution 24-07-44?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wade. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Director Lewis. It's been moved and seconded. Board, do you have any questions or comments about this resolution before we vote? Yes, Director Lewis.
Thank you for the overview, General Manager. I was just curious, one of the events, the mobility conference, is that included, or was that included in this budget? And are we hosting any future APTA conferences?
So Lonnie Nielsen, our marketing manager, director, is going to talk with us about it.
Yes, for APTA, thank you, Director Lewis, for that question. For her work, she not only activated a lot of on-site stuff for the mobility conference, but the biggest expense for her and related to this event was actually the rodeo. So all of the tents.
Oh, forgot about that.
Yeah, all of that stuff that you saw out there in the field, that was a big part of what that was eaten up into her contract.
The second part was, are there any future conferences?
I don't know, Sam, are we on the hook for anything with APTA again? I know that we all still have a little bit of trauma over it, so I'm probably thinking no.
Oh, we were
but-
asked, the three of us at the past APTA were asked about sponsoring, yes. So I said I'll check when I get home.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, and Director Lewis, to answer your question, so we have Latinos in Transit this fall, that there may be some events that Cindy Thompson Events will be helping us with. And then next year, we are the proud hosts of Impact, which, if you're familiar, it used to be called Railvolution, and that's next October of 2025. So she may be helping with that as well.
And I'll add on with JC, as a board member on the APTA board, one of the things that I'll be talking to them is actually putting Portland again in front. And normally what they do is they plan out the next 3 to 5 years on that to see if we can actually take a slot as we move forward.
They asked.
There we go. And I had a question, a follow-up. I noticed that Cindy Thompson Event Production Company is a woman-owned business, but I wasn't clear on whether it was certified through the COVID, through the state certification office.
I am not 100% sure. I'd have to double check on that. But she's been our event coordinator for, this is the second contract, so actually almost third, so
Couple years.
2015. I believe she did go through that process, but I can double check for you.
Yeah, and that would be fantastic, and a real kudos to the company for stepping forward a couple years ago. I mean, this is a fantastic story from my perspective. To come in and be the only bidder, to come at a time and when we were really starting to come back out and shine, and her company has helped us be successful in that endeavor. So much so that the shine continues. We're opening up new systems, new expanding services. So I see a lot of opportunities for continued engagement with this supplier. And so in doing so, I simply wanted to recognize, as a small business myself, I know how valuable it is to have these types of multi-year relationships with an agency as a client. So first off, congratulations on that track record. This bodes tremendously favorable for the company. I would simply encourage the company, if it's not already certified through the state office, to do so. And on the heels of things like the Latinos in Transit Conference as an example, a perfect opportunity to point out, in a multi-year relationship, I always encourage our suppliers to grow alongside us. I think that hopefully this helps the company's trajectory, and in doing so, to expand its service capabilities in multiple languages so that we can continue to foster a deeper engagement with community partners such as Cindy Thompson. And I saw a comment go up and down, and
I would just quote President Gonzalez that Cindy does an amazing job of looking for local suppliers and local businesses. And in fact, for the FX grand opening, we used all local businesses along the alignment to provide food, catering, trash disposal, all of those different things. And so she is very cognizant of lifting others up.
Thank you so much for saying that, and I appreciate that additional information. I recognize that the contract, while there's a lot of self-perform in the contract, there's a lot of impact over monies beyond the contract that can be spent in our community. And I encourage our supplier to help us to be a conduit, to help us find opportunities to spend some of our event monies in our community. That's fantastic. Yes, Director, thank you, I couldn't tell what you were pointing at. Director Frisbee, your hand is up, and everyone's telling me. Hello.
Hello. JC, thank you for that perfect transition. I wanted to flag what I have appreciated about Cindy Thompson Events is that they have worked to highlight and raise up members of the local community in the events. They have supported local organizations and local groups. They helped bring all of the folks involved in this work to the celebrations around the work. And so I hope and assume that moving forward, that will continue to be the ethos with which these events go forward, and appreciate all that has happened so far.
Thank you for your comment, Director Frisbee. Director Lewis?
Yes, I just want to add to what Director Frisbee said. And my earlier question, then I thought, well, it's getting explained, and that's the value of we're spending dollars from our community and returning that to the community. And I would say, if you would agree, the value is putting those dollars back into our community, not, outside, but especially when we have events that are external. APTA was pretty much more of a closed event, but when those events affect, like the FX line through Division Street, I did see local vendors, a lot of local, because that's kind of my area. And so I really appreciate, but I'm happy that we look at the value that we return to the community so that they feel part of, and those dollars are being returned, and they can join us in collaboration with those events. But thank you.
Here, here. There are things well beyond contract requirements here that are really about how we hit home runs through our collaboration. So I look forward to the continued partnership. Which is to say, I definitely support this. Anyone else before we move to a vote? Okay. With that, I'd like to move us into voting. All of those in favor of approving Resolution 24-07-44, please do so now by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, we got that. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, at this time, I'd like to now pause the regular business meeting to move us into convening as the TriMet Contract Review Board, a move that I think my board is becoming very accustomed to. We will open up to TCRB to consider the next resolution. Oregon Public Contracting Law and our TCRB rules allow the board, in its role as the TCRB, to exempt contracts from the low bid solicitation process to allow for best value contract procurements, such as one of the resolutions we heard today. Authorizing the exemption will allow the agency to consider factors in addition to price in awarding the contract. Now, as our role in the TCRB, I would like us to consider Resolution Number 24-07-45, authorizing an exemption from low bid requirements for a contract for construction services for the TriMet Powell Garage Gantry Charging Infrastructure Project. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
President Gonzalez, members of the board, the Powell Garage Gantry Charging Infrastructure Project is the next step in supporting our growing battery electric bus fleet that runs out of our Powell Operations Facility. The project includes infrastructure and equipment required to support and advance TriMet's transition to a zero-emissions bus fleet. The exemption is necessary to allow for a qualifications-based selection process, ensuring we engage a contractor with the specialized expertise required for this complex project. So I have Manager of Engineering and Construction, Kate McKinnon-Kaiser, and also Senior Contract Administrator Kim Neal. They're here to explain to you what the gantry charging infrastructure is and also how it works. This project is essential for supporting our growing fleet of electric buses and contributing to our sustainability goals, which I mentioned previously will be critical for the region and for the state to reach their climate goals. And you're up.
That's great. What's the signal to advance the slide? Are you doing it? All right, I'll do that.
Good.
All right, thank you, General Manager Sam DeSue, again. Thanks for having us. Powell Garage, we're going to do the next phase of charging. This is the pantograph. It's in the video, you actually saw it come down on the bus, from the bus. This is a huge step in advancing getting those zero-emission buses to Powell and dispatched out of Powell Garage. This first scope includes really structural steel and a lot of make-ready electrical work to receive the pantographs and the charging equipment. So what you're looking at here is a list of underground conduit, vaults, equipment bases, concrete footings, pavement restoration. As I'm kind of going through this, everybody who's been to Powell can kind of envision this in the yard and how active that bus yard is. So I think we can go next slide. You all remember where the charging infrastructure is, right there at the south end of the yard. And that's where this pantograph is going to start. Next slide. So this is just a small snippet. You see the existing at-grade chargers there on the left-hand side. This scenario shows you where the 60-footers might line up with some of that bridging steel. And this will allow us to add an additional 54 40-foot charging positions to the yard in addition of those 24. On the right-hand side is kind of the SketchUp model. It shows you a little bit of what that gantry looks like. It looks like a highway sign structure, so it's pretty big to hold those pantographs coming down, and you can kind of see all the gear in the island that the structure comes down to meet. I think next slide. There they all are. That's what we're talking about today, that next phase that we're building. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those gantry structures. Next slide. And really, this is the master plan of that Powell yard. Once we build it out, everything is really timed with bus maintenance to ensure that we're ready to receive those buses in charge. Also with the new technology, how many we need to charge, how long they need to charge, we can really be flexible and have the least amount of impact to operations out of this critical yard. And I think that's it.
And President Gonzalez, thanks, Kate. Your approval of the resolution is recommended.
Thank you. Before we get into the vote, I'd like to see if we do have a motion to approve this resolution. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution
So moved,
24?
Kim.
Thank you. Director Kim has moved. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Director Way. It's been moved and seconded. Now, does anyone wish to make a comment before we vote? Director Way?
Thank you. I do have a question. I really like this presentation. I'm a visual person, and just to nerd out a little bit, I have no idea how all of this works, but it just looks so cool. So, thanks for being our expert in all of this. My question was, it could be very basic, but I'm just trying to understand. Given that we have extreme weather conditions now, unfortunately, with the ice storm and the snow, and then also sometimes temps raising up to 100 degrees, are we prepared with this new infrastructure for some of those weather-related events and seasons? And I guess I just don't want this really amazing, source that we're going to have in electrification to be delayed because of just very severe weather seasons and events that we're experiencing as other states are as well.
Operationally, in the yard with the charging infrastructure, we should be okay. I mean, there are bollards that'll be around the equipment in the yard, but I don't know if I can speak to operations.
Yeah, let me jump in. Diversification is very critical for us here. And if you notice, we have diesel, we're now moving to battery electric. We also are going to have hydrogen fuel cell, and probably some other technology before 2040. So in order to meet the needs of the public, we're going to be diverse for a little bit.
Okay.
So that we can make sure that if that shuts down, we have other vehicles to be able to take the mission.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Director Kellogg.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. At the risk of being continually pedantic, this is an exemption, right? So we as a board have to track this closely.
That's the request.
And in previous iterations, not in the first couple, but the last couple, there's been an inclusion of the scoring for how we're going to determine this in terms of how points are assigned. I'm looking specifically at the Columbia site prep bid that we did last time. So I'd like to encourage exploring whether we add to our TCRB rules that be a requirement for any time this is presented to us, because I think it's very important. Second, I don't know if this is for Kate or for procurement. It looks like this is a substantial amount of work.
It's the first phase, so the image with just the 6 gantries, and it spans only 9 tracks. It's not the full thing.
Sure.
So it would be that amount of work, and it is substantial. It risks. I mean, this is why we're doing the best value. We really need to work with our partners on site. Getting impacts to operations is not really an option. So really restraining the site footprint that we have there, just to make sure we're really working with on-site operations.
Okay. So I know this is difficult.
So
again.
Yep.
Like asking about Columbia.
Yep.
Do we have a ballpark estimate on what this is going to cost? What's that?
So it's about $3 to $5 million. So it is structural steel, and underground, heavy civil work. That's really the bulk of the value.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
And I don't see any hands there. I have a question as well. And very basic, I like, this is my standard sort of when we go into TCRB mode question. So hopefully it's not a surprise, but I'd love to just hear it for the sake of myself, the board, and the public record. Why not low bid for a project such as this?
The real value that we're looking for is that restrained or restricted time frame to work in the yard, lay down space. You can see the size of these gantries when they're erected, and also just the footprint of the construction is really going to need to be dialed in.
Because it would impact other operations.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate that. Any comments or questions from others on the board? All right. Well, it looks like it's time to move to a vote. All of those in favor of approving Resolution 24-07-45, granting the exemption from the low bid on this contract, please do so now by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? All right, we have one no, but it passes with a majority vote. Thank you very much. Motion carries. All right. Now I must adjourn the TCRB and reconvene the TriMet Board of Directors for the balance of the meeting. And now, although we have no more resolutions as part of the regular business for the board for today's formal business meeting, we do have a couple of housekeeping matters to discuss. And the first is the issue of electing a new board president now that I am leaving the board. As I announced in the last board meeting, effective at the end of this month, I will be no longer serving in the capacity of neither board president or member of the board of directors. And so with that, it leaves an opening for the critical role of board president. And so I'd like to bring that matter at hand to our meeting today. ORS Chapter 267 requires that the board elect new officers every 2 years. And we held the last statutory election of officers in June of 2023, a little over 1 year ago, with a term start date of July 1st, 2023. Now, normally the officers elected last year would continue to serve until June 30th of 2025. However, with my resignation, there is now a vacancy of the presidency that must be filled through a special out-of-cycle election. So what this means is the person elected president will serve for a period between now, or between August 1st, through July 1st, to August 1st of 2024 through July 1st of 2025. So serving 1 year. Prior to July 1st of 2025, the board would hold its regular statutory election of officers pursuant to the ORS Chapter 267, and then those officers would serve for a term of 2 years. So about a year ago, TriMet made history when this board elected its first Latino board president and its first slate of officers entirely of people of color. And as with my last formal act, I'd like to very much continue with that historic precedent and make some nominations today. I'd like to nominate formally as my successor for board president my esteemed colleague, Dr. Laverne Lewis, who is currently serving as board vice president. And if elected by the board today, Director Lewis would serve as the first African-American woman to be TriMet's board president. Another historic first. But she would also be leaving a seat empty. And so with that, I would like to also nominate my esteemed colleague, Director Thomas Kim, to be vice president, filling the vacancy left by Vice President Lewis in her nomination to be president. Director Kim has been on the board now for over 3 years and would be the first Asian vice president to the TriMet board. Now, with that nomination, with that motion, I'd like to see if there is a second to elect Laverne Lewis as. Thank you, Director Edwards. Thank you, Director Edwards. The motion has been, I've made the move, and Director Edwards has seconded that the nomination of Director Laverne Lewis as the new board president and Director Thomas Kim as the new vice president to serve the term from August 1st, 2024 through July 1st, 2025. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I do have a point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Edwards.
I just want to make sure that we're following Robert's rules by you being able to make that motion.
Yes, you can. You can.
Our general counsel, Shirley Devine, has confirmed indeed we are within rules for me to make that motion.
Thank you.
I appreciate the double checking on that, Director Edwards, as well as your second. Anyone else wish to make a comment or raise a question? Well, oh, I see Director Kellogg. Yes?
Yeah. I wholeheartedly support this, Dr. Lewis. I've been so impressed by your breadth of experience and the way that you conduct yourself. So I'm very much looking forward, hopefully, to you being the board president. And Director Kim, same exact comments. Your depth of experience, your attention to detail, I think are going to be a great asset to us as a vice president.
Thank you.
I appreciate those comments as well. And, well, just before the vote, I'll just simply say how much of an honor it's been not only serving, but to serve alongside these individuals from whom I learned quite a bit. I really appreciate all of their perspectives, and I sure hope I have the board support in this nomination because business must continue, and there's a lot of excellent work to be done. I see no other hands raised, either in paper or virtually. Okay, with that, I'd like to now move us to a vote. All of those in favor of approving this resolution for the nomination of the officers in the form of president and vice president, please do so now by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. I said aye as well. All opposed? Any abstentions? Well, motion carries. All right. Congratulations to my fellow board members. And before I let go of this trusty gavel, which gets a lot of things done, I have one more item here of housekeeping business in my final meeting as board president. So I'd like to now move us to another matter of housekeeping business, and it is the matter of the fiscal year 2024 general manager's appraisal. Now, that appraisal is normally coordinated by the board president with the input of the rest of the board. Now, before leaving the board at the end of this month, I would like to deliver to the newly elected board president, Director Lewis, my thoughts and input regarding the general manager's performance over the past fiscal year. I've already scribbled some notes that I intend to share with Director Lewis, and I fully anticipate we'll have the chance to meet in the near future about it. The new board president will also solicit input from other board members. So rest assured, you will be asked for your perspective. And between now and the September board meeting, this process will take place. The concept is that at the September board meeting, the board president will publicly present a summary of the general manager's performance evaluation, as well as a recommendation for next steps. And third, this brings me to a point. The next item here is that there will not be an August board meeting, so you will have a chance to get you ready to go. And so the next board meeting will be September 25th, and it will be occurring here in our new home at One Main Place Meeting Room. And now, finally, before we make it official and close today's board meeting, and I get to use this gavel for the last time, I'd like to invite Director Lewis to make a few words. Please, Director Lewis.
Thank you. At this time, first I would like to thank President Gonzalez. And before we can no longer call him President Gonzalez, and he goes just by plain old Ozzy, I would like to thank you for all of your work on the TriMet board for these past 6 years. You have been inspirational, you have been solid, and you've just been the board's board man for all of our things and challenges that we have had. It's been a pleasure to sit and be next to you and serve as your VP. More specifically, I would like to make a motion to adopt the following resolution. Bear with me while I read the full resolution. The resolution of the Tri-County Metropolitan Transportation District of Oregon, honoring Ozzy Gonzalez for his dedicated service on the TriMet Board of Directors. Whereas the Tri-County Metropolitan Transportation District of Oregon, TriMet, and its Board of Directors wish to honor Ozzy Gonzalez for his dedicated and outstanding service to TriMet as its president and member of the board. And, as Ozzy says, and, whereas after earning a master's degree in architecture and environmental design from California State Polytechnic University in Pomona and moving to Portland, welcome, Ozzy Gonzalez pursued a career as an urban ecologist, applying his professional expertise in architecture planning, public policy, and urban design in environmentally friendly developments that improve our region. And whereas Ozzy Gonzalez has a long-standing history of service to our community, including as one of the founding members of the U.S. Green Building Council, lead user group for industrial facilities, the president of the Jardine Portland Foundation, as a member of the Regional Arts and Cultural Council, the Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs, and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He's been busy. And whereas before joining the board, Ozzy Gonzalez contributed professional design services to various TriMet capital construction projects while engaging as director for diversity for prime general contractors Balfour Howard S. Wright and CH2M Hill. And whereas since his June 1st, 2018 appointment to the board, Ozzy Gonzalez has represented TriMet District 2 and has served on both the Finance and Audit Committee and the Transit Equity Advisory Committee. And whereas since July 25th of 2023, Ozzy Gonzalez has served as our outstanding board president, doesn't really say that, but I said it, and the board's first Latino president, generously contributing his extensive professional, business, and practical expertise in a wide range of TriMet initiatives, projects, and challenges. And whereas utilizing his expertise and commitment to advancing Portland's creative redevelopment, housing, and overall economic improvement. Ozzy Gonzalez was instrumental in helping TriMet develop and adopt its TOD, the Transit Orient Development Guidelines, so that the agency can put its underused and surplus real property to more productive and beneficial uses that strengthen and enhance the transit system for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the TriMet Board of Directors, that's us, and TriMet staff, that's us, hereby express their gratitude to Ozzy Gonzalez for his thoughtfulness and generous service consistently, performed with professionalism, collaboration, kindness, and occasional good humor, and be it further resolved that a framed copy of this resolution shall be presented to Ozzie Gonzalez as an expression of our warm respect and appreciation. Applause.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So a little business, that is my motion to adopt this resolution. Do I
Second.
have a second? Second. Oh, all right. Would any board member like to comment on this resolution before we vote?
Yes.
Do you want me?
Director Edwards.
Thank you. This is kind of difficult for me because over these last 6 years, Ozzie and I have really developed a special relationship. We are friends, we are cohorts, and I really appreciate your leadership. Not only as president of the board, but prior to. You have expressed that leadership in many different ways, and I certainly appreciate that. I know that this is not a spigot that you turn on and off, and I know that you will continue to be a leader in our community, and I know that you will continue to keep TriMet in your heart. And I thank you, brother, and I love you for all that you have done. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Director Way?
Gosh, Ozzie, you're leaving us. No, I just also really want to appreciate you for being my colleague for the last 6 years. I know Director Edwards, Ozzie, and I were the three that were nominated by then Governor Brown, and we sort of, diversified the board. And I think ever since then, just looking at the makeup of the board now, it's just been phenomenal to see continued, ways that we can diversify and bring along different voices to the table. And I know that Ozzie has so much experience and a wealth of information in all of the different areas that Dr. Lewis has mentioned in his resolution. But one of the qualities that I think sticks out for me with Director Gonzalez is he's willing to listen to all viewpoints, similar or opposing. And I know that, even with me, I've had, expressed very different viewpoints from him and from other folks on the board, but he was always willing to listen and grab a bite to eat or get coffee and just to really understand where I was coming from. And so I really respect that, and I really appreciate that about one of the many qualities about you, Ozzie, is that. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your tenacity, and thank you for just serving on this board with me. You will be missed.
Thank you, Director Way. Director Frisbee?
President Gonzalez, it's both thrilling and sad to say that for the last time, but I just want to join on. You were, as I came on board, you assumed the presidency, and I so appreciate your role and your work and helping those of us on the board navigate and understand how we can best support the agency. Your deep understanding of TriMet and its systems and the way that it can serve the folks in the community has been invaluable, and we look forward to getting to take advantage of it once you're on the other side. We know you're not going that far, and we won't let you get that far. So thank you for everything you've done. And I'm looking forward, congratulations to the next executive team, and we look forward to you continuing
President Gonzalez's legacy.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Director Kim?
President Gonzalez, thank you for your service. You'll be missed. One attribute that if I have to pick one attribute, it's my favorite one of yours, is that you're approachable. You're an approachable board member of TriMet and the leader of TriMet board. And I think that the root of that display is your humility. I think deep down, you're coming from the similar place that everyone else is. So I thank you for that, and I want you to know that I take that to my heart as well, and I think about your leadership, and I not just myself, and I'm sure others have learned from that as well. So thank you, and Godspeed on the rest.
Thank you, Director Kim. Any other? Okay.
Don't want to be left out. You have the impression I don't appreciate you.
That's true.
I have some personal comments I'll share later, but publicly speaking, I want to thank you for bringing me into the fold. I think we had lunch just a couple of weeks after my nomination was confirmed. You were insightful in terms of what this job is about and who we're out there to advocate for. And to me, that's, you said humility, I say humanitarianism. Every decision that you've made, every comment you've made up here has always been about the broader community, supporting local businesses, supporting transit-oriented development, all the things that make the humanitarian mission of TriMet the most important thing that we do. So thank you for that. And like I said, I have personal comments I'll reserve with you later.
Well, I'll take that omen and say I look forward to it. Wow, I'm humbled, and I really am appreciative of your words, and from the resolution to the comments. I'm not used to that, so thank you. I think in parting, as in my official role here, I think that what I could think to say at this time, because I'm kind of going through a lot of feels as well. It's a tough transition, but all things come to an end, good, bad, and indifferent. And I am just beaming with pride at the things that we've been able to do in the last few years, in the way in which the agency has pivoted in times of tremendous change. And I leave this really with reflecting my appreciation for the folks involved in this work. For me personally, I come from a place of just really loving. I do love people. I'm a humanitarian at heart. I'm all on team humanity, and regardless of our role, regardless of our title, where we are in our career, whether it's a paid or unpaid position, what you bring to that work has a purpose behind it. And for me personally, it really is about enriching this lived experience for myself by helping enrich the lived experience for those around me. And I know that there's a lot of people here, board, staff included, that bring a why behind the work they do. I see a lot of folks that really believe in the roles that they have. I don't see folks just with jobs. I see people with a mission, a purpose, a way in which they want to contribute. And I'm just grateful to be surrounded by that. It's a circle of excellence that I'm glad to be around and associated with. And I'm just happy for everything that's coming forward for the agency. I am not a retired human being. I'm not disappearing into the sunset. I plan to stay involved in the community. I plan to stay involved in the region. I plan to ride the train and the bus all over the place. And I plan to stay very much informed on the continued work of this agency. So, gosh, it's great to be here. It's great to see us come to this moment. I'm glad I got to see, at least for 1 month, my picture on the wall of this great room here that we're commemorating. And, I don't know what else to say other than I'll be seeing you around. I'll keep paying attention. This is a wonderful, wonderful agency. And I think you should all be proud of what you're doing out there. It looks like the public is starting to notice it. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Not yet.
One last time.
Not yet. Are we ready to vote? All board members in favor of this resolution honoring Ozzie Gonzalez indicate your affirmation by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain. It feels a little weird.
One abstention. The motion passes.
All right.
And now I hand it back to Ozzie.
Thank you. And with that, I'm glad to say we've gone through one other board meeting, and I will gladly adjourn today's board meeting and invite you all back to come participate in the September board meeting held September 25th here in our headquarters. That meeting is adjourned now for today. Thank you.